Good luck, everybody.
Excellent. Hi. Hello again, everybody. Hello again, Stratosphere. We are back. Transport Canada, we're back. So those of you that were with us last year, you sat in on our presentation on our journey to clouds, and we called it the journey to cloud on boats, automobiles, planes, trains and planes. We're back with the sequel, and we have a bit of a lift-off. So there's some good news and some additional material that we'll share. So that's what we're going to talk about. Myself, I'm Kofi Atiaba, and I'm with Transport Canada. I'm the Director of Infrastructure Operations, responsible for the Cloud Center of Excellence. And I'm with my colleagues here who are going to be telling us a bit of a story about Transport Canada's cloud journey. So next slide, please. So Transport Canada is a world leader in transportation regulators. So we are basically responsible for the safe and secure transportation, considering as well a green and innovative technologies to help with efficient transportation in Canada and globally. So as some of you may know, the transportation sector has gone through a lot of disruptions over the last little while. Autonomous vehicles, drones, new platforms such as Uber for transportation, and so on and so forth. And that has disrupted the way transportation happens, and therefore some of our work has also been disrupted as well. So next slide, please. Now, what happens is the expectation, because of the digital era, because of big data, because of the disruptive technologies, because of generally a more elevated citizen expectation, we have to do things differently. And so in order to respond to the disruptive technologies and to respond to the way information technology is changing the way we live, the department recognize the need to change the way we do things, to modernize the way we do things, the way we deliver our programs, to be able to keep up. So we established a departmental transformation plan with the key tagline of a people-centric vision for change. So maybe, so yes, so we consider, so if you think of it as, the disruptive technologies are a bit of a lemon, right? So as the saying goes, when you get lemons, you make lemonade. So we basically are taking this and using it to modify and change and modernize the way we do things, deliver service to Canadians. So if you go to the next slide, please. So part of Transport Canada's transformation is built on 5 pillars. The key pillar that the adoption of cloud services falls under is the modern and inclusive workforce, which is the last pillar at the bottom there. It sort of forms a bit of a foundation because we recognize that in order to be able to keep up with the technologies and to be able to keep up with the elevated expectations of citizens, we have to do things differently. One of the ways is we have to be able to deliver services to our clients faster, a lot more quickly than we do right now, which means that we have to experiment, we have to be agile, we have to be smart about the way we deliver services, and we have to do it in a trusted fashion. So yeah, so the 5 pillars, and off of that are the 3 key messages, which are the agile, trusted, and smart and trusted. So cloud was seen or is seen as one of the cloud technology is seen as one of the methodologies that Transport Canada can use to be able to deliver services quickly to Canadians, to be able to respond quickly to changes in technology and to changes in policy and so on and so forth. So if you move on to the next slide. Now, getting onto cloud required a bunch of things. So for us, some of the things that have helped us to succeed, I've kind of like listed some here, and with a wink and a nudge to. So we had a bit. To get to where we're going with cloud, we needed extensive support from senior management, and we got that. We got support to buy cloud credits and to form a cloud center of excellence, and to actually pull together teams of people who work together. And so there's multiple ways. So that we have the cloud center of excellence that's doing the setting up of the infrastructure and so on and so forth. And we're working with our colleagues in cybersecurity, in Solution Center, some of whom you are going to hear from. The other thing that has been key to our journey has been change management, and it's been like engagement. Like you can never have enough engagement, as we found out, but change management is key. So early on, we started off with things like Tech Talk Thursdays, where we would invite colleagues from other departments or other organizations who have gone through the same journey to come and inspire us with what they are doing. We set up portals with a cloud called a Cloud Corner. We organize welcome sessions for new employees that come to transport to be aware of what was available in terms of cloud services, and to help us move on. Social media engagement has been crucial to be able to work with colleagues across departments and actually in industry as well. Training sessions have been key, but also one of the things that the department has done is the setting up of an EA program with a departmental ARB, Architecture Review Board, which ensures that all the digital principles, all the 10 digital Government of Canada digital principles are actually applied to new projects that are coming in. We had a cloud app challenge, and we also injected new expertise with colleagues from Code for Canada, who came to help us with some applications that we're building that were built in the cloud. In particular, last year, if you were here, you heard them talk about the drone, the RPAS project, which was the drone piece. Next slide. But the thing that pushed us over the edge the most was COVID. So when COVID hit, at the time before COVID hit, we had already started moving our workloads in. We have already started moving some of our teams onto Microsoft Teams as a way to collaborate and so on and so forth. And one of my colleagues is going to talk to you about that journey in a little bit. When COVID hit, we're basically using automated tools, which another colleague of mine is going to talk about. We onboarded all 7,000 employees onto Teams to allow us to be able to leverage that cloud technology to keep moving along. So it's been a great journey. One of the things that also came up is the secure cloud enablement, because we need SCED, secure cloud enablement defense. We needed that to be able to move on to host our protected B applications and so on and so forth. So that's something that we're working with SSE on right now. And I think I will pass it on to my colleague Joyce, who will carry on. I believe I went a little bit over, but Joyce, please take it away. Joyce, I think you're muted.
Thank you, Kofi. As you have heard, my name is Joyce Lee, and I am part of the cloud team. I take care of the change management, like Kofi said, engagement, and the engagement. There's no end to that. So next slide, please. So last year, you probably have heard me talk about our cloud journey. It wasn't a very, very smooth journey, as I would put it, but along the way, we hit a lot of bumps, and we fall, we pick ourselves up. But along the way, as we progress as a team, we started to see all these little pieces comes together, and with everybody work together towards the same goal, towards this commitment to the cloud. We quickly move along. We started with crawl, and then we move along, and then we'll walk, and then eventually we are running, and we are in the next mode, the fly mode. So as a quick summary from, if you are not here with us last year in Stratosphere, we talk about crawl. So what is crawl? Crawl is basically to start experimenting in the cloud environment. We have the developers start to play in the sandbox, trying to push button to see how it works, trying to do a proof of concept and other things. And also we are learning from one another. If somebody said, hey, when you do this, and this will happen, so don't do it. So we learn from one another, as well as we are learning from other departments who is more advanced than we are. So we are in collaboration. We work as a team to move this cloud agenda forward. The next step we did was walk. What is walk? When the developers are very comfortable, I wouldn't say very, but when they got a little bit more comfortable, they start to develop their application in the cloud. They start to have a user testing to let their users see how is it, what do they see, what do they feel, and just basically teach them that way. And to take it to the next level, these developers are very curious. They want to learn more. So they started their own cloud training. They take courses. They go to conferences. They go to seminar. They even learn from other department. They invite other department to come and say, hey, share your journey with us. So we learn from this way. As well as Kofi alluded to, we have a lot of cloud awareness activities. When we have new hires come on, we invite them to a cloud awareness session, etc. And then we even stand in a lobby to just talk to the people that has come down for coffee break or go back after lunch. So next slide, please. So where we stopped last year, we were talking about we are in the process of completing our application portfolio, which is on the top left-hand corner, Q1, Q2. That's where we stopped. We were in the midst of completing, but now I can tell you, we are in the running mode. We have completed that application portfolio. We have built the hybrid cloud foundation. Next slide, please. So with all this, we also obtain our authority to operate for protected B Azure Cloud. Isn't that wonderful? We have received Azure enrollment under the PBMM framework. Yay! We completed our security controls and guardrails. We have categorized all our application portfolio into 4 categories. We categorize them into unclassed with no dependency, no SCAD, no Active Directory, just a standalone unclassed. A protected B with no dependency. We have unclassed or protected B that requires some dependency like Active Directory. As well as the last category is we have unclassed with everything that you need, the AD and SCAD. As well, we are looking into the mission critical apps, as well as disaster recovery requirements. This is one of the main things that we want to go into the cloud, is to do mission critical as well as disaster recovery in case something happens. You never know. So with all that, we develop, because everybody wants to come to a cloud, right? So we develop a cloud workload prioritization framework, which prioritize which application can be moved up to the cloud first. So that was a big load. Can you imagine 360 plus applications? We have to prioritize them. We have to tell people, oh, not this time, the next time. Next slide, please. So where we are today, we are continuing to optimize for application deployment. Like one of my colleagues is going to talk about automation. With automation, we can drastically reduce the error and configuration time. So everything is standard, and then push a button, everything comes out great and wonderful. We're migrating application unclassed, no dependency up to the cloud until our SCAD is available. We have deployed so far 9 applications to the cloud, and they are the open data, Alexa recall, even our search engine, the TC search engine. And one of my colleagues is going to talk about an application called eBeta. So I'll let him talk about that. as well as we have deployed one protected B application in the cloud. So right now, in our non-production environment, we have 40 plus workloads ready to go. So anytime we have a spot for them, they're ready to go. And we have completed all this application, the ones that are ready to go, we have completed the assessment, the readiness to migrate to the cloud. And lastly, as Kofi alluded to, we are in the DevSecOps. We are starting to talk about DevSecOps. How can we work together as a collaboration? The developers, the security, the operation folks come together and work together as one in a modern, using a modern agile methodology by working in agile, working in open, working in collaboration. How can we do that? So this is one of the things we have started talking about. So next slide, please. So our next step, continue migration with the prioritized application to the cloud. I have to put a caveat here. Because of COVID, we have to change our strategy. There are some application which is COVID related. So those applications, they are number one going up to the cloud. So at the meantime, we are also working really hard with our folks in SSC to get our SCAD, our ground to cloud connectivity secure. And also we are working to enable disaster recovery capabilities for application that requires the DR services. We are also continuing to build capacity, to build cloud expertise so that everybody will be on the same page as we are when we go to the cloud. Everybody speak the same lingo. Last and not least is change management. Yes, we still continue to have to do engagement and adoptions of cloud solution like DevSecOps. So yes, we also collaborate with other departments as well. So that's it. From last year to this year, that's what we have done. Even though it's a short year, we have done a lot of things. So I'm going to ask my colleague Edna to talk about the cybersecurity. Take it away, Edna.
Okay, can you hear me? I'm Edna Brown from the cybersecurity team. I am going to be talking about the security assessment and authorization process at Transport Canada. Next. At Transport Canada, we have the security assessment and authorization process that we use to define and review security controls to operate IT systems. The process is used for COTS, contractor-provided services, in-house applications, and it is independent of where the applications reside, on-prem or cloud. The mechanism is used to understand, mitigate, and measure security risks throughout the life cycle of systems. All parties, including the development team, business clients, and the security team are involved. And the outcome of this SANA process is used to accept the risk of operating a system, and it's used to either grant or not authority to operate. Next. Next slide, please. So the process starts with when the project first starts. The first step is SOS, or a statement of sensitivity. It's a process used to define the security classification, and it's done by the business owner. The next one, as you can see there, is the level of assurance, and that's used to assess the potential harm that can be caused should there be a security incident. And it is this process is owned by the business owner. Next. Thank you. The outcome of the SOS and LOA is used to define the security concept of operation. At this point, it's a draft, and it's used to identify the security requirements required And this at this stage, the owner is the development team. Next, the outcome of the security concept of operation and SecOnOp and the network diagram are used to define the stage that we see the security requirement traceability matrix. And depending on what the classification of the data is, there could be 3 different templates, unclassed, PA, or PB. The security is the security controls are listed, and the development team would implement the security mitigation and do the testing, the security testing, as you can see there. Next. The next one then is the request of authority to operate. This process is owned by the security team. It would document all the artifacts that have been written up to this point, and it would either recommend or not to grant authority to operate. Next. Next. Yeah, thank you. The next, so there can be 3 outcomes. The first one is that there are deficiencies in the system and authority to operate is not granted. So that will be this outcome. The next one is that there are no security deficiencies and authority to operate is granted without a SIP. A SIP is a safeguard of implementation plan. It's important to note that the security team recommends. It's the business team that either accepts or does not accept the risks. Next. The third outcome is that there are some deficiencies that cannot be mitigated at this point. So the development team would write a document outlining all the deficiencies and the plan to mitigate them. The plan is called a SIP. As I mentioned, the Safeguard Implementation Plan, and that would include the risks, the roles and responsibilities of who will do what when to mitigate those risks. Next. And this is documented, and an interim authority to operate is granted, and the SIP would be reviewed 1 month before the interim authority to operate expires, and then they would go through the whole system again, and next time around, hopefully there will be ATO without a SIP, or it can be an ATO with a SIP again. So the bird's eye view of the process looks like this. Next. The security traceability matrix and the controls include technical controls, operational controls, and management controls. And depending on the classification of data, it would have different controls, but all of them would have some elements of those the technical, operational, or management controls. Next. The SNA process fits nicely with the project management framework used at TC. The SOS, LOA, and the network diagram come early on in the process around gate 2, gate 3. The security ConOps and SRTM draft and the network topology come in gate 4. And the gate 5 is the ATO and SIP if required, and the completed documents for SRTM and security testing. Next, so last slide. Next slide, please. All the templates are available to the project team right from the get-go, so they would be able to see what's required in the SNA process and plan their work accordingly. And that is it for me. Next would be Ken Morency will come and talk to you about cloud automation. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Edna. And hi, everybody. I'm Ken Morency. I'm currently team lead with the cloud operations team at TC. I'm here to talk to you today about automation. If I can get that first slide. Awesome. So why do we automate? Well, you automate to empower your employees to do more faster, to do it more reliably. You do that to ensure that your governance is in place and to ensure that your developers and your teams can actually empower themselves by having the tools they need to deploy resources or functions or configurations in a stable, predictable, and reliable way. By doing this, you free your teams up to provide further innovation in your applications and services. Next slide, please. So how do we automate? Well, this is kind of a mind map of my own making. This is how I approach automation and efficiency in development and also in operations. So firstly, I try to identify repetitive processes, areas where governance or sensitivity are incredibly important and must be ensured. By identifying these requirements ahead of time, you can then move to the next step is to automate. So in the automate section, you need to identify what are your common features versus your unique features. The common ones are the ones that you're going to be automating, and the unique ones are the ones that you're going to make as efficient as possible for people to either input or update. You're looking for time-consuming tasks, things that take a long time that could be sped up by at least automating the whole thing or a portion of it, and complexities as well. You take care of having these room for human error by taking out those complex pieces of a specific task or a series of tasks. Once you've automated your solution, whichever type of solution it is, you now look to engage your solution, and that's engaging the user and engaging the platform or the service that you're actually interfacing with. So you're looking for things like live results. Is there a way to pull information from your tool's output? Get some user feedback. The people that are using your automation tools, get them to tell you what they think of it. And also look to either access or leverage open source tools or actually make your tools available in open source. You can save a lot of people and a lot of departments or a lot of other organizations a lot of time and money by sharing. So as they say, sharing is caring. Finally, after you've engaged and you've identified how your automation solution is doing, you look at assessing your usage, the time saved, and any areas for further automation. So I think that's pretty self-explanatory. You're looking to see how much are people actually using my automation tool? Is it actually of benefit? How much time is actually being saved? Do you have any metrics being tracked around how much time is being saved? And is there any areas for further automation based on those engagement results? Which ultimately leads you back to the beginning of the process where you may look to further automate. Next slide, please. So how is TC leveraged automation? Well, in countless ways, but let's just cover a couple of the most important and most valuable things that we've done so far. As Kofi mentioned and Joyce mentioned as well, due to COVID, we had to provision over 7,000 accounts from start to finish, but just over a weekend, we deployed 4,000 user accounts for Azure Active Directory, and therefore enabling users to connect to MS Teams and to be able to collaborate from home. So that was huge, and we were able to do that very quickly and reliably and securely. We have a common task that we have to do quite often, which is to update our application gateway configurations. It can take up to 30 minutes per subdomain that you're adding to the application gateway. Using our scripts, you can actually do it in less than a minute for each new subdomain. So that's a huge time saver and then frees up your teams to do more. Network infrastructure as code. The entire TC network infrastructure was deployed in IAC, or infrastructure as code, in less than an hour. And if we ever needed to, we could do so again in the same amount of time, or we can actually take pieces out of it and only deploy updates to certain segments. And ultimately, we do that through Azure DevOps and pipelines and automation scripts. One of the final key things that we do with automation is we ensure that resources are deployed in a consistent manner so that they have things like log analytics, security, encryption, all of these things automatically applied. All of our policies are automatically applied. And by using these things, it can speed up the governance and change management process. With that said, that's the end of my presentation. So I'm going to hand it over now to Mohammed Amin, who's going to tell you about a beta. And they know all about automation there too.
Great, thank you, Ken, and thank you for your presentation. So hello everyone, my name is Mohammed Amin and I'm from the beta team here at TC. So What is EBITDA? Well, EBITDA is a project code name that stands for Enterprise Business Intelligence and Data Analytics. It's an ecosystem of new technologies and infrastructure that enables business units across the department to significantly improve their business intelligence and data analytics capabilities. It does so through providing a more efficient, agile, scalable, and a manageable approach to enterprise analytics. And it does that through a cloud-first approach, which is TC's strategic direction here. EBITDA provides a modernized set of tools and technologies to provide a range of comprehensive data services. And we implement the bimodal analytics capabilities. Bimodal is a term that was coined by Gartner, with Mode 1 being a full-service enterprise analytics solution that the solution center here, or the digital services, provides for the entire department, and Mode 2 enabling self-service discovery and analytics, where clients can actually use their own tools and upload their own data and do the analytics they want without having to rely on the IT department to do that for them, or digital services to do that for them. Next slide, please. So this slide shows a high-level architecture overview of EBITDA. So the whole story starts on the left-hand side there with data. There's lots of data out there. This is not news to anybody. This data comes in all different shapes and forms, different formats, different sources, different types, and different locations. And we want to bring all that data in. So EBITDA acts as the ecosystem that allows the ingestion of this data, the storage, the processing of this data and its analysis, and also the visualization and the presentation of the results to end users. So to bring this data in, we start with Azure Data Factory. And Azure Data Factory is a data pipeline orchestrator that has the ability to connect to more than 90 different sources. For example, SQL, any Oracle database, SQL databases, even Google S3 object storage, Amazon S3 object storage, or Google Cloud Storage, and bring that data in to any destination that we want. And for us, this destination is the Azure Data Lake. And the Azure Data Lake is an object store that it's an object storage that is infinitely scalable. It's limitless. We can just add as much data as we want in it. All sorts of data, so unstructured, structured data, without having to predefine the schema, which makes it really good for bringing in all that raw data as quickly and as efficiently as possible. Now, once that raw data is into our data lake, it's time to process it. And for that, we make use of the Azure Databricks. And Azure Databricks is a very powerful distributed computation platform that is based on Apache Spark. And it's scalable, so it can scale up and scale down the resources on the fly without any management at all. And alongside with that, we have the Azure PostgreSQL with Azure PostgreSQL, which we make use of its module, a module called PostGIS, because at TC we're really big in geospatial analysis, and PostGIS is actually a geospatial analytics library that can process big geospatial data. So the final outcome of this data is a set of curated data sets, and those curated data sets need to be served out. And so Azure Synapse Analytics comes into play here. And Azure Synapse, previous slide. Yeah, so Azure Synapse Analytics comes into play here with its analytics optimized SQL servers, and this allows it to become a serving layer to tools like Power BI, where you can visualize that data and serve it to many users. So now, next slide. So the progress of EBITDA so far has been amazing, and with the help of the cloud team, we have really achieved a really good success story here at TC. We have release 1, which basically provides self-service analytics in production. We're one of the applications that is in production right now at TC. And we're currently working on onboarding clients to the new platform in a phased launch approach. So we go with pilot and then a soft launch and a hard launch. We've also obtained an interim ATO for unclassified data. And our next release, we're looking at getting protected B interim ATO, and also hoping that connectivity can come in, and this will allow us to onboard clients with protected B data. Next slide, please. So EBITDA is a multi-year project, and we have a lot of dreams and plans to enable many more capabilities like machine learning, data cataloging, search, mobile and offline content access, and many others like IoT, for example. And we really hope to build EBITDA on a strong foundation and a strong architecture that would allow it to be easily extendable to other departments in the government of Canada. And we hope we can collaborate and share data using EBITDA. That concludes my slides on EBITDA, and with that, I'll hand it over to PL, who was going to talk about Microsoft 365. Thank you.
Merci Mohamed. Mon nom est Pierre-Louis Ponton. Bonjour. Alors, moi, mon rôle, c'est je suis l'évangéliste Microsoft 365 à Transport Canada. Et suivant, s'il vous plaît. Alors, moi, mon rôle, c'est de vous parler un peu de notre voyage vers Microsoft 365 et l'implantation de Teams. Alors, nous autres, dans notre ministère, je pense que c'est une histoire connue, qu'on a un temps de transformation qui existe depuis plusieurs années, et puis on a le support de notre haute gestion. Notre objectif à long terme, vraiment, c'est d'appliquer ou de migrer toutes nos applications, nos services, autant que possible vers le nuage, vers le cloud. Et pour faire ça, bien, on fait plusieurs exercices. Donc, on travaille là-dessus. Et donc, ici, vous avez comme une sorte de sommaire de toutes les activités, toutes les choses qu'on met de l'avant. Donc, on travaille sur une main-d'œuvre mobile, on essaie d'adopter des outils numériques. Donc, dans notre cas, on a travaillé très fort sur des outils comme Teams et OneNote. Et bien sûr, on va aller bientôt à Exchange Online. Et on va aussi parler de Office Pro Plus. On a aussi travaillé très fort au niveau de nos gens, nos personnes. Donc, c'est quelque chose qu'on met beaucoup d'emphase dessus. La sensibilisation et aussi, on essaie de travailler sur l'effet du groupe à la base. On essaie de créer un effet d'entraînement avec nos employés pour qu'ils soient impliqués et puis que ça aide avec l'adoption. C'est très important parce que c'est un grand changement de culture, migrer toutes nos activités à utiliser le nuage. Donc, on prépare notre équipe au changement. Suivant, s'il vous plaît. Donc, c'est un peu une autre manière de travailler. Nous autres, on travaille beaucoup sur nos 3 piliers. On est une équipe agile, intelligente et on travaille très fort sur la confiance. Donc, c'était juste vraiment pour vous donner une idée où ce qu'on travaille, pourquoi on fait ces choses-là. Donc, notre travail est vraiment axé sur être à l'avant-scène et en avant de la technologie pour pouvoir aider non seulement nos clients, mais ultimement nos employés, je voudrais plutôt dire, mais ultimement les personnes qu'on dessert dans la population au Canada. Donc, on veut être capable de leur donner des services qu'ils s'attendent à avoir quand on fait affaire avec un gouvernement qu'on dit électronique. Donc, étape suivante. Donc, on va travailler un peu là-dessus, sur vraiment dans les détails. Donc, nous autres, actuellement, on voit la situation actuelle de la pandémie comme étant une opportunité très, très intéressante de travailler, de nous amener à la prochaine étape. Alors, on a travaillé beaucoup avec divers essais. On a encouragé nos employés à essayer diverses technologies, des options, faire des cas types, vraiment travailler à essayer les choses. Dites-nous qu'est-ce qui marche, dites-nous qu'est-ce qui ne marche pas. Comme ça, on peut comme améliorer le service qu'on donne. La haute direction aussi nous a supporté très fort en mettant un peu l'emphase sur quelque chose qui a été annoncé par notre sous-ministre, qui est, nous autres, on veut faire le travail à distance par défaut comme étant la manière de travailler par défaut pour le ministère. Donc, quand vous êtes un nouvel employé de transport, vous arrivez ici, on vous encourage presque du début à travailler à distance, qui est vraiment l'objectif ultime pour tout le monde. Puis nous autres aussi, indirectement, on travaille très fort sur tirer parti de l'initiative des employés. C'est-à-dire, quand les employés arrivent avec une nouvelle idée, on essaie de les écouter, de les encourager, puis de vraiment de travailler avec eux, de concert avec eux pour trouver la meilleure solution. Puis ça aide vraiment beaucoup à créer un environnement où ce qui est très fertile pour avoir des nouvelles technologies, des nouvelles idées. Souvent, actuellement, là, dans mon travail de tous les jours, c'est souvent les employés qui arrivent en disant « Hey, j'ai vu cette nouvelle caractéristique-là ou nouvelle fonction-là dans Teams, dans le nuage, est-ce qu'on pourrait l'avoir? » Puis moi, mon réflexe, c'est de dire « Ben oui. » Donc, on va aller faire ça, on va travailler ensemble, on va s'assurer que la sécurité, bien entendu, est couverte, mais on va aussi encourager que ça se fasse naturellement. Puis comme ça, l'employé se sent vraiment impliqué dans le processus, puis il nous aide à faire l'adoption. Puis c'est sûr qu'une des choses qui est bien importante, c'est créer d'équilibre délicat entre ce qu'on appelle l'accessibilité et la sécurité. Donc, dans le sens, qu'est-ce qui rend les choses accessibles? Est-ce que, faut penser à la sécurité? Oui, c'est important. Mais de l'autre côté, on veut aussi pas éliminer ou, comme on dit en anglais, bloquer ou stymier la créativité de nos clients. Là. Donc, on veut vraiment aider à ce qu'ils puissent aller de l'avant. Donc, ces choses sont assez importantes pour nous. Suivant, s'il vous plaît. Donc, on a appris plusieurs leçons au travers de notre dernière année au niveau de l'implantation de Teams, parce que nous autres, on est à Teams pour tous nos employés. Je pense que Ken avait expliqué comment on a utilisé l'automatisation. Un mot compliqué. Comment on a vraiment travaillé pour rendre ça de façon efficace, pour pouvoir migrer un gros groupe d'employés de façon presque transparente, presque, comme on dit, en une seule nuit. Donc, on est vraiment, quand la COVID est arrivée, on a été capable d'aller très vite parce qu'on avait déjà mis beaucoup de choses en place chez nous. Mais là, ce qu'on a appris comme leçon, c'est des choses que j'aimerais bien partager avec vous qui sont assez importantes. Donc, ne sous-estimez pas l'impact de la bande passante. Prenez pas ça pour acquis dans votre ministère. Ce n'est pas parce que vous n'aviez pas de problème avant la COVID que vous n'en aurez pas après. Donc, soyez sûr de vérifier comment chaque changement a un impact sur la bande passante. Est-ce que la performance se dégrade? Est-ce que les choses continuent à aller bien? Est-ce que vos employés considèrent que la transition est efficace pour eux autres ou en bout de ligne, avant où ils cliquaient puis ça allait très vite. Là, maintenant, ils attendent quelques secondes de plus. Donc, ça, c'est des points qui sont très importants, vont faire la grande différence entre le succès et l'échec. Vous assurer du soutien de la haute direction, j'avoue que c'est essentiel, puis je pense qu'on en revient toujours là-dessus, donc ce n'est pas un problème. Le prochain point, c'est vraiment les clients ont besoin d'une voix, puis ils ont besoin d'être capables de vous dire qu'est-ce qu'ils ont besoin. Donc, souvent, on a tendance à travailler avec des spécialistes dans un domaine en particulier, dans différents domaines. Donc, c'est important d'impliquer les employés pour avoir une vue, non seulement des spécialistes, mais qu'est-ce que les gars qui sont vraiment, comme on dit, en avant de nos clients, là, du public canadien, comment ils font pour travailler. On parle, nous autres, dans notre cas, des inspecteurs qui font des inspections dans les bateaux, des gars qui travaillent peut-être faire des inspections dans les aéroports, qui parlent avec des passagers, qui parlent avec des pilotes, des compagnies aériennes. C'est très important qu'eux autres puissent dire, hey, nous autres, on aurait besoin. Ça pourrait nous aider. Puis souvent, il y a des idées très, très simples, mais qui demandent un petit peu d'ajustement. Puis c'est ça qu'on veut avoir. Parce que ça va aider à vraiment modeler la solution parfaite pour donner des résultats à tout le monde et s'assurer qu'on va bien. Ça nous prend un plan agressif aussi pour migrer toutes les applications vers le nuage ou vers le cloud. Le travail à distance efficace dépend de ça. Donc, le plus longtemps que vous restez sur ce qu'on appelle de legacy ou dans ce qu'on appelle des applications qui sont d'héritage, ça veut dire que ça fait longtemps qu'ils sont là, bien, plus vous restez là longtemps, plus ça ralentit le processus de migration, puis ça vous limite dans le retour sur investissement que vous allez pouvoir avoir. Ne sous-estimez pas la complexité de l'environnement actuel. Souvent, l'environnement actuel, là, je veux dire, qu'est-ce qu'on a en place, sur place, chez nous, dans nos centres de données, c'était bâti sur plusieurs années, pour ne pas dire sur plusieurs décennies. Puis on prend pour acquis que tout fonctionne bien, puis on oublie des fois des petits détails. Puis moi, je me souviens, quand j'étais jeune, il y avait un de mes directeurs qui m'avait toujours dit le diable se cache dans les détails. Donc, c'est très important d'aller chercher cette information-là, puis de ne pas sous-estimer la complexité quand on fait la migration. Puis je pense qu'un des termes qui n'est même pas sur le slide, mais que je vais vous mettre en face, c'est une chose que j'entends souvent, au-delà de partager, c'est vraiment partager, c'est collaborer, c'est tester, tester, tester. Prenez le temps de tester, c'est très important. Puis finalement, ben, on peut dire que ça a l'air facile souvent quand c'est fait, mais ça ne l'est pas. Ça demande un effort continu, un engagement qui est soutenu. Il ne faut pas lâcher, donc c'est très important. Donc, on passe à la slide suivante. Puis je pense que c'est tout pour ma présentation. Donc, je crois que je remets ça dans les mains de Kofi pour la fin.
All right. Okay, everybody. So thank you for joining us for this. I know we've taken up quite a bit of your time, but I guess there's a Q&A session that's going to be happening online. But this is all we have for now. Please reach out to us on Twitter, #TCDigital. Back here that you see on here, and engage with us on some communications. Thank you very much for joining us for this session. Merci beaucoup.